Hey guys, welcome back into a brand new installment of the Career Competitive Podcast with me, Steve Mellor. And as always, we're brought to you by the CG Sports Network. And I'm bringing to you a brand new competitive call to start the week. The theme of this particular episode is actually going to be on the topic of toughness. And for me personally, I've just come through a roller coaster a couple weeks off the back of the SEC swimming championships. So for me as a coach, I've been very, very busy with handling some successes, some disappointments, and athletes obviously having a variety of emotional responses to all of these different performances. And for me, at this time of the season, every single year, I have athletes that are finishing their swimming career period. I have some athletes that are going on to the next phase of the season with the NCAA championships. I have athletes that are going into more of a preseason phase for the summer season. There's so many different things going on, and within those junctures, there's all these different conversations. And I look at really and analyze so much an individual's toughness. And I want to be clear with this. You know, it's easy when we use a term like toughness to almost stereotype that word and make it about a physicality of some sort, someone's ability to maybe beat somebody up, or somebody's ability to, take on this incredible workout or whatever it might be, some sort of physical challenge, right? And I think there's actually a simple way to describe the term toughness, and that is one's ability to see something through to the end. And sometimes that can be as simple as some sort of physical output. You know, anybody that's done an Ironman, for example, will know what it means to be tough. When it comes to just day-to-day life components, toughness, like I said, is about being able to see something through to the end. And this time of the year, like I was just referring to there, I have athletes that will tell me a lot of things in terms of what it is they want to go on and actually achieve within the sport. And a lot of the time, I try to remember these things to remind them of it maybe a month or so from now, because it's really easy in any walk of life to experience success or experience disappointment and immediately turn around and come up with a intention of some sort that you want to go on and achieve. And that's the competitor in us. The competitor in that moment is saying, hey, this situation has either fired me up to go on and perform at even higher levels, or the result of this situation has left me thinking I want to think I'm capable of more. I'm going to now reanalyze things a little bit and try to establish some approaches that are going to allow me to be successful. That's the competitor. So now the competitor has come to the surface and said these things. A lot of the times in my experience within the world of sport, I've noticed that competitor 48 hours from that moment, a lot of the time, is quite comfortable potentially sleeping in once the alarm clock goes off. And there's a component of that really resonates, or should resonate pretty much with anyone listening here, where you've maybe found yourself wanting to commit to something that in the end, you've proven not to have the willingness to see through to the end. Now, for me as an individual, what I've learned over life is that toughness is something that I'm actually really good at. And I believe it is one of my few traits that I would say that I can pretty much go up against anybody and say, listen, when it comes to Steve, he's tough. Why? Because I see things through to the end. Now, the reason I'm able to do that is I'm extremely selective, and I've learned the art of just kind of shutting up when it comes to committing to something I'm not going to necessarily follow through with. And for me, if there's a lesson that comes from this theme of toughness that I'm presenting here, is I'm encouraging you guys to know when to talk and when to shut up. Because if you're going to be tough, and you're going to have this willingness to see something through to the end, then only speak of things that you intend to do exactly that with. If you know you have the ability to be tough enough to see something through to the end, then sure, speak it into existence. But there's nothing worse than the so-called tough guy that walks around every single day, every single week, just expressing their ability to do something, or the fact that they're going to prove that they're capable of this in the future. And then the following day or the following week, they're saying something else about something else, and they've done nothing about this thing that they previously referenced. I've seen so many of those individuals over the years. And for me, as someone that I wouldn't say that I'm an incredible success, I'm far from it, but within my little world that I live in, I've had successes, whether it be as a husband, as a father, whether it be in my full-time profession, whether it be with this podcast. I've had enough successes where I can say, hey, I've seen tens and tens of people in similar situations to mine that frankly haven't been successful or haven't had the desire to keep competing to get better because they've simply not been tough enough to see something through to the end. What I love about this definition for toughness that I'm giving here is when you look around each and every day, there are so many forms of toughness that we see, that we encounter within our lives. Moments where we're challenged to see things through to the end. You know, the more obvious ones are things like education, but then we have relationships, for good or bad. We see those through to the end. Then the emotional moments, dealing with a personal loss, grievance. That journey of grief, that is something you must go through and see to the end. It requires true toughness to actually understand and then do this. Now, what's so great about these examples that I just provided is lots of these are these sort of micro versions of toughness, emotional responses in certain situations, the way in which we deal with day-to-day normal hour-to-hour components of our day where we are actually seeing something through to the end. A really tiny version of an example of toughness. And we use these teeny tiny versions and we add these up, and this becomes our overall strength of toughness when it comes to these major commitments that we make within our lives. Long-term relationships, financial commitments, careers. These sort of things that require this toughness to see something that's so long and enduring through to the end. Well, that strength of toughness for those moments comes from these teeny tiny versions like I just gave examples of there. So as competitors, don't be the so-called tough guy who's all talk, willing to start and commit to something without necessarily wanting to see it through or caring enough to see it through to the end. Instead, be disciplined with your toughness. Pick your competitive path with precision and with reason, and then demonstrate your toughness by seeing those sort of journeys through to the end. In the case of this particular episode, I'm going to leave myself probably a little vulnerable to some potential criticism, maybe some insight, if you will, when it comes to maybe being a little narrow-minded when it comes to my definition for toughness here. I'm sure people can give me examples of either why this isn't necessarily accurate or why this could maybe be added or built upon. So I would love to hear from you with that regard. I'm so comfortable with some sort of constructive criticism. So I really encourage you guys to reach out and let me know. 1, if you agree with this. 2, would you add to this? 3, would you dismiss this? You know, I think this is all really healthy discussion that we need to have. But for me personally, I really do believe in the principles of my definition for toughness. And I think it is something that if you don't necessarily recognize that this could potentially impact you, then sit down and think about it. How can you be tougher? How can you use this definition of toughness in a way that's going to actually allow you to potentially reestablish your approach to the things that you're competitive in and what challenges you choose to take? You can reach out to me through the website careercompetitor.com or connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search for my name, Steve Mellor. I'm on there a lot, so please feel free to reach out, connect with me. I want to hear feedback. In the meantime, got some fantastic interviews coming up here for you guys over the next few weeks, so be sure to be downloading, subscribing, following, sharing, all of the above when it comes to the show. I appreciate you listening and look forward to speaking with you all again very soon. Bye for now.